All right, we talked about all the things that Congress can do. Now we're going to talk about the things that Congress cannot do. Now remember, the founders were very particular about not wanting government to get out of control. So they wanted to make sure that they had limits to what government can do, so that government wouldn't get out of hand. And they wanted the Constitution to give the government limits. Most of the Constitution is about limiting government. So let's look at some of these limits. This has the limits of Congress and the limits on states. There's certain things that states can't do. Let's figure out, or let's read through what they are. The migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by Congress prior to the year 1808, but a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation, not exceeding $10 for each person. So this was an old one. It's actually expired because it's it expires on 1808. And just saying that they can't stop slaves from coming into states. That they couldn't make any laws to stop slaves until 1808 of coming in. So states could still bring in as many as they wanted. That's obviously expired now and is no longer in effect. The privilege of a writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it. Habeas corpus, that's a term you should know. That just means that they have to say why you're in jail. They can't just hold you in jail and say, oh, we're just going to put you in jail for a while. They actually have to have it approved to hold you in jail. Otherwise, they can't hold you in jail. Now, if there is rebellion or riots or public safety, they can suspend it for a bit, but only in those moments. But otherwise, in the United States, they can't just throw you in jail for no reason. They have to say why, and they have to get it all approved to hold you in jail. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. What's an ex post facto law? An ex post facto means that you can't have retroactive laws. I'm going to use like one fancy term for another. Retroactive means that you can't pass a law that says things were illegal in the past. For instance, let's say right now it's legal to gamble in Las Vegas. So people go down to Las Vegas and gamble. But the government can't pass a law and say, for the last 10 years, it's actually been illegal. We changed our mind. So everybody who gambled in Las Vegas for the last 10 years, we're now throwing you in jail. You can't do that. Laws have to start now and go into the future. They can't go into the past. So no ex post facto laws. You can't pass a law that says something was illegal in the past. Congress cannot do that. It says no capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census and enumeration herein before directed to be taken. So this is income tax. Congress does not have the power to do income tax, to do these direct taxes. However, you can see it's in parentheses, it's been changed or clarified by the 16th Amendment. So there is income tax because of the 16th Amendment now. That's been changed. We'll read it when we get there. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. So in other words, when I take stuff from Arizona to Utah, the government can't charge me for it. You are supposed to have a free trade between states. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. So this is when they're trading, you can't have unfair trade. You can't have higher taxes for trading with another country in California, for instance, than you did in Florida. And you can't, if it's going to California, Washington can't make it pay taxes there. So they just wanted the taxes with trade with other countries to be fair for all the states. So they had to do it that way. No money shall be drawn from the treasury but in consequence of appropriations made by law. So in other words, they can't spend any money. They can't spend any money unless they pass a law, a spending law. They can't just say, well, we need some money right now, quick. Like, no, you have to actually pass a law, which means it has to go through the process of both houses voting for it and the president signing it. They can't spend money any other way. And a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. So we have to know what they're spending. So they can't just spend money for fun. They actually have to pass a law that says they're allowed to spend a certain amount of money on a certain amount of things. That's a problem right now because it's been a while since the United States has passed an appropriations bill, a new budget. So right now they're living off an old one that continues to kind of be extended, but they haven't passed one for a while, and they're having a little bit of a problem coming together and actually passing a law that people can agree on to allow them to spend money. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office or profit or trust under them shall, without consent of Congress, except of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind, whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state. So it's actually in the Constitution that the United States cannot have knights or dukes or earls, and you cannot, if you are a government official, you cannot be a duke or a knight in another country from another king or a prince. So they wanted to get rid of this idea that there are certain people that are better than others, certain nobility that they have very strongly in Great Britain, for instance. You know, you have the servants and the upper class and the lower class. That's very common there. But in the United States, the Constitution actually says we can't do it. We cannot have knights. There will not be a Sir Gregory Duffin. The President of the United States cannot officially knight me, which is kind of sad because I should be knighted, but that's beside the point. Constitution says I can't. Now there are some prohibited states, or things that the states cannot do. States have some powers, but some powers they do not have. It says that no state may enter into any treaty or alliance or confederation. So states cannot make agreements with other countries. So Utah can't go make an agreement with China, for instance. Only the federal government can. Grant letters mark or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit. So Utah can't have its own money. Make anything but gold, silver, coin, a tender, or payment of debts. Pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law impairing the obligation of contracts or any title of nobility. So those you should understand, but those are all things that states can't do. No state, without the consent of Congress, lay an impost or duties on imports or exports except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws. And the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by the state or impost sector shall be the use of the Treasury of the United States, and all such laws shall be subject to revision and control of Congress. So they didn't want states passing really, really high taxes to bring things into their state. They didn't want states artificially kind of messing up the market between states. So only if you bring something into the United States, or into another state, if there's a fee, the fee can't be any more than just what it costs for them to inspect it or whatever. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops, ships, war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not permit delay. So states cannot have their own armies or their own agreements or their own pacts with other countries. Like Utah can't say to Idaho or to Nevada and California, hey, Nevada and California, maybe if we get together we can start our own army and that will protect us better. Nope, states can't do that. That's the federal government's job to keep the army going, and states are not allowed to do it. So again, a little bit of list of, oh, I lost my spot. Sometimes that happens. A little bit of list of the limits of Congress, things that it can't do, and the limits of states. So that's the legislative group. Hopefully you understood that. What the legislature does. We're now going to move on to the executive branch, which is the president's branch. But make sure that you understand how Congress works.